For today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this striking stripy cake. Add a little bit of decoration to make it beautiful. We're starting off with a bottom layer of chocolate cake. You can use any flavor that you want. First, adding a border on the outside to keep in my filling. For the filling, I've chosen for the bottom layer just some milk chocolate. That's 3 parts of milk chocolate, 1 part of cream. I'll have the recipe linked below as well. Adding my second layer, also giving it a nice border to keep our second filling in, which is going to be just caramel. You'll notice that my frosting is really soft, but we'll fix that with putting it in the freezer later. I'm now just smoothing out my filling so my next layer of cake will fit on top. I pressed that cake a little bit too hard. You guys want to remember to never do that because it gave it a little crack. But I inserted some towels to help it keep straight, and we'll fix that crack later by adding some buttercream inside. This was just a cake for homemade, but if you guys are doing this for customers, please remember to work very softly with your layers of cake. I'm smoothing out my first layer of buttercream. This is called a crumb coat. It just keeps all the crumbs together and your cake together, as when we're done with the first layer, smoothing it out, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to put this in the freezer for about 20 to 30 minutes just to firm up, giving it a second layer of buttercream. My second layer, you'll notice, is a little bit different color because I decided to just add a little bit of more frosting to it or icing to it just to firm it up. This is now going to be my third layer of buttercream. I also, after the second layer, put it in the freezer again for about 15 to 20 minutes. The third layer is not going in the freezer. I'm going to smooth this out as much as I can. You want this layer to be a little bit more perfect than the first and the second layer. I'm scraping off the buttercream as I go along as I smooth it out, bringing it into the inside. We're going to use a tool now that you'll see, it's kind of like blocks, and just softly applying it to my cake, turning the turntable, creating little spaces in between, and in those spaces I'm going to use another color. That is our turquoise color. You'll notice that the tip of my buttercream or my piping bag for this buttercream is very small. That way I have control over how much I want to put inside of those spaces. If you put too much, it's going to go over the darker color and it's not going to smooth out as perfectly as you would like it to be. In this cake tutorial, I didn't want them to be as perfect lines as they could be, almost blending into each other. So I didn't smooth it out as much, but if you want it to be perfect, you're going to have to be very precise with that. Now I'm just using a plain scraper to help scrape all of those excess buttercream to create my perfect lines. You'll notice that I'm using my turntable and dragging it from start to finish. That way there's no lines showing on the side of your cake. I'm using a 1M piping tool now just to make my decoration on top, almost making like an ice cream, starting in the middle, building up to the top, adding some chocolate pieces and some wafer biscuits in front. That just kind of made the cake a little bit more interesting for me. I decided to cut into it to show you guys the 3 layers of chocolate cake and our ganache filling and caramel filling there. This is quite a nice and moist cake. I'll have the recipe up for you later. And I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. It's quite easy to make and very striking on anyone's table. If you want to recreate this cake, please tag me, Yolandie, Olech, in your creations. I'd love to see them. And I'll see you in the next video.